get started. I'm really excited to have everyone on the line today. Looking forward to spending this hour taking a few minutes to chat a little bit about Simon Data. To kick things off, would love to do a quick round of introductions. My name is Whitney Hudson. I am a account director here at Simon. So I've been with the Simon team for about 3.5 years and in marketing tech for coming up on a decade. So, in today's conversation, what we're really going to do is we're going to spend some time chatting about the differentiators of Simon Data in the CDP space. It's a very wide space. There are a lot of players in it. And so we want to be very direct around, who Simon is and some of the challenges that we help brands solve. Also here on the Simon team, I want to introduce Matt O'Neill.
Yep. Hey team, my name is Matt O'Neill. I lead our solutions team. So anything technical, how the product works, integrations, all that fun stuff is what I cover. So very happy to be on the call. Any questions, please feel free to fire away. We're certainly happy to answer things as we go along. Now, Kate to Paulo.
Yep. Hi, I'm Paulo. I'm an associate sales engineer here at Simon under Matt's team. So we will be walking through the demo today. Matt and I will be tag teaming your demo for today, and looking forward and excited to have you all on the call.
And echoing Matt, yes, we have some time set aside for Q&A at the end of our call, but I think the best way to do this is whenever you have a question, please feel free to drop it in a chat. We want this to be helpful for you. So anytime, drop a quick question in and we can make sure we can address that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Looks great.
Perfect. So as a quick agenda for our time here today, I'm going to take a few moments just to sort of give an introduction to who Simon Data is, where we fit in the space, and some of the clients we work with, as well as some of the challenges that we are helping these businesses solve. From there, I'm going to pass things over to Matt and to Paulo, who are going to jump into the platform and some of the things that I'm sharing from a conceptual level. Let's go ahead and dig in and see what it actually looks like in the platform as well. As stated, Q&A can happen throughout, so please don't be shy. Feel free to put things in the chat and we'll be keeping an eye on it. So very briefly, I want to share a quick example of some of the customers that we are working with today. You'll see that these brands really span the spectrum from direct e-commerce brands like Away and like Bark to subscription brands, travel and hospitality brands, fintech and financial services. I think while you'll see quite a few different types of logos up here, there's one thing that's really unified them all. And what's unifying them is that they all came to us with a similar challenge of wanting to utilize all of their customer data, no matter where it was within the business, and be able to leverage it better for marketing use cases. So briefly, want to cover why our customers work with us. And it really falls into two major camps. The first is moving fast with data. What Simon specializes in is being able to ingest data from any source within your business, be that an e-commerce platform, be that your data warehouse. And our goal is to make sure that we are able to bring in both real-time data, so what Whitney might be doing on the website right now, and pair that with historic data. When was her last purchase? How frequently has she purchased from us in the past? The goal, and what we've seen many businesses challenged with, is that they've been collecting more and more customer data over the last couple of years, but it becomes difficult to tie that all together and get that data into a usable format for marketing and business stakeholders. So we create that single view of the customer. And then we give an interface that is meant for marketers and business users without a technical background to be able to get in there and leverage this data by building dynamic segments based on browse behavior, on email engagement, on historic LTV. And kind of moving into the second category here, then the goal is to drive measurable marketing outcomes. And how do we do this? Once marketers and business users have access to that data, it allows them to power really powerful use cases. Then we'll walk through a couple of examples in a few minutes. Within Simon, we're able to help coordinate journeys across any of your end channels, be it email, SMS, push, ad channels, customer support, on-site personalization. We really serve as that logic base where you're able to bring all these pieces together and make sure that as consumers, they're receiving messages that resonate on the right channel at the right time. With that, you're then able to test and experiment across these channels. So perhaps one audience resonates more with email plus ads. Another tends to resonate more with SMS. How are we able to track these different audiences and find that incremental revenue so that you are able to continue to enhance your campaigns? Lastly, reporting. We want to make sure that you are able to see how these campaigns are performing for these individual audiences. And really, our goal is to help companies impact prospects across the life cycle, all the way from awareness to re-engagement. So, on the awareness side, being able to feature products and marketing kind of based on lookalike behavior. So you can send those downstream to your social, for instance. Consideration, being able to offer targeted promotions to drive conversions. Fulfillment and inserting, bounce back offers based on promo sensitivity. As you can see, I'm starting to layer in all of these different ways that you're able to interact with your consumers across how they're buying from you. Let's take this a step further. I'm going to pick on my pal Paolo here. And Paolo shared with me earlier that he has 2 dogs. I have 1 dog of my own. She is asleep over here. I won't disturb her. But we're going to take you through Paolo's experience in purchasing from the farmer's dog. So to take you through this experience and what Simon is helping power, Paolo here, he Googles fresh dog food and he finds himself visiting the farmer's dog website. He signs up for a welcome email. And in the case of the farmer's dog, this is a subscription business. This is about building a long-term relationship with a client and with that client's pet. And the way that they do that is that when you first go to the farmer's dog website, you begin taking a short quiz. On this quiz, you share a little bit about your pets. You share their size, their weight, their hunger level, their activity level. Let's say Paolo begins taking this short quiz. He receives a phone call and he has to leave. How do we bring him back to finish providing those details, but more importantly, to make that initial purchase? First, we can send him an abandoned cart email. But what gets fun here is that we can bring in any of that data he's already shared. So we can put in his pet's name and say, Fido would love to have his fresh food. Now, let's say the abandoned cart email doesn't quite bring him back. Let's also layer in an Instagram ad. How can we start to, utilize different channels to encourage the action we want Paolo to take? So that does the trick. He comes back to the website, he purchases his trial meal package, and now we're working towards our next micro conversion. He got that trial meal. How do we get him to convert into someone that is receiving his meals on a monthly basis for Fido? So we are going to continue to send him emails, send him Instagram ads. Maybe we're going to push him to create his account profile and start sending him some push messages as well. And that does the trick. He visits the site, he chooses next month flavor, ta-da. Now, what's also cool is I mentioned how we can bring in that data that he provided about his pet. And this can be something that's from that, very explicit, he told you about his pet, or it can be other things that you've collected just based on browse behavior, based on historic, but we're able to bring this in to our communications and say, in this case, oh, Franklin's next order is being prepared. Here's what's in our next box. And we found that by having, this level of personalization, it makes a huge difference in terms of the consumer relationship and in terms of increasing that customer LTV. And what does this all mean? At the end of the day, we are here to provide value for our customers. So really just want to touch on a couple highlights from some of our current clients. Brian LaMonaco at Wyndham Destinations, a couple things he pointed out here is that working with Simon allowed them to be nimble and agile. It allowed them to unlock a level of segmentation and personalization that they just wouldn't have been able to do beforehand because their data was siloed everywhere. For TripAdvisor, we were able to do this at massive scale. So they are processing millions and millions of requests per day, tons of data every single day. When it comes to scalability, we are able to help businesses grow and continue to scale with Simon. Lastly, want to point out with Bombas, I think this is a case we hear very, very frequently. Because of the data silos they had inconsistent marketing experiences. So what Paolo was receiving on email versus SMS on his ad channels, they didn't link up, they did not connect at all. Simon helped them connect the dots. But what it really meant is it's not just about like solving that challenge of how Paolo feels when he's receiving that message. It's really about driving the end result, getting Paolo to make that purchase, getting him to continue to subscribe over time, getting him to make that second purchase, whatever that KPI is that you are working toward. The more you are able to communicate with your customers in the way that resonates with them, the more you're able to push those metrics. So last but not least, here in the slides before we hop into the platform together, want to share kind of a high level of where Simon fits. Now, you'll see here on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, we can bring data from wherever it sits within the company. So be it a data warehouse, be it an e-commerce platform like a Shopify or a Magento, engagement data, third-party data. Our goal is to bring that all into one centralized location. So we can do identity stitching. So we can give you a single view of the customer across their interactions. We then are able to give you that platform to be able to go in and actually leverage and utilize this data for your marketing use cases. So segmentation, dynamic segmentation, you're able to see how large or small your audiences are on the fly. Put these clients into sophisticated journeys across those end channels. So across email, SMS, support, ads, you name it. So from a very high level, that is the challenge that Simon is here to solve. We want to make sure that marketers and business users are armed with the tools they need to be able to leverage all the zero and first party data that they have on their customers. With that, I'm going to transfer this over to Paolo and Matt. Let me stop my share real quick. And I'll pass it your way.
Perfect. All right. So hello, everybody. So looking at what we have on the screen right up here is that exact single customer view that we were talking about earlier. So as Whitney was just mentioning, Simon, we're ingesting data from multiple different data sources, data source A, B, C. How do you understand, okay, here is Emily. Who is Emily across all these different data sources and all the places data lives within your organization? This helps you understand, we're able to aggregate all of that data and you have a full list of attributes on a customer such as Emily we see here. So we could see obviously age, Emily's average order value, what campaigns Emily's a part of, what's Emily's category affinity towards any certain product or category of products, LTV, and even some data science. So either data science that we provide as part of Simon or data science that we could ingest that you have as well. But not only just all of the attributes we have on Emily, but what is the full event stream? What are the actions Emily is taking as a customer? Is Emily going on the site, abandon a cart? Is Emily interact with any of your emails, logging onto the site? What pages is she browsing, etc.? What are all the life cycle actions Emily is taking that we can then attribute to Emily's profile? Now, a very common and core use case within Simon is we're looking at Emily. Now, we've determined Emily's actually one of our best customers, high LTV, high order value, high engagement with our emails, etc. One of our best customers. Now, within Simon, all the data we've ingested and aggregated to a single person is available to create an audience as well. So we can go ahead, heading into our segment builder here, create an audience where we're mimicking Emily, our best customers. So who are our best customers that look just like Emily? How many of those do we have, right? We want to be able to execute a campaign to all the people that look like Emily. And we could layer in multiple different data from different data sets and data sources where we can look at some of the data science where we're looking at, okay, folks who have a purchase propensity higher than 90%. or looking at folks that may have a similar category affinity to Emily, for example, and even narrow it down to even location. How many people like Emily? How many of our best customers do we have within, say, the New York area, for example? And then marry all of that with the life cycle actions that Emily is taking, such as they made a purchase and they're engaging with our emails, but not just a high level of, hey, they just made a purchase or they clicked on an email. What was that email campaign? Or dive into some of the metadata on the purchase. If you have multiple brands, what specific brand, product category, category type? What was the price of their most recent purchase? Did they use any promo codes, SKUs? Get really deep into metadata on an action that your customers are taking and build an audience that's very specific. So we know Emily spends at least $100 every time she makes a purchase. Now we have an audience of folks that look like Emily who are our best customers, right? And I'm sure as you noticed, as I was adding in the filters within this audience builder, we have quick KPIs up here. So not only do you understand, hey, how big of a net are we casting? How many people are our best customers that we have? But also some quick KPIs, a quick snapshot on this segment as we're building it out. And even further, as soon as we save this within Simon, I have this preloaded on a different screen here. We go ahead, save the segment. We have the quick KPIs and just a quick scroll down. We have machine learned insights contextual to this segment. So if we want to be able to target our best customers, we modeled them exactly right here within Simon. And then we're able to understand what is the lifetime value of this audience, not only how large it is, how many people that are in it, what's the average order value, and other insights contextual to this audience to help us understand the efficacy of our ad spend, for example, to this audience. Right? Is this going to substantiate some of our ad spend? Now, here is where we actually execute a campaign to an audience we created, or it could be action-based, trigger-based. So as Whitney was going through the life cycle, any action within the life cycle, we could trigger a multi-channel campaign as well. Abandoned cart, visited the site, right? We could trigger a stream of actions, trigger a campaign out. Or it could be segment-based, like we were just building out in this example, our best customers. So we want to be able to target our best customers. We built the segment out. All of the insights on that audience look great, for example. Right now, we're going to set a multi-channel campaign where in Simon, we're orchestrating across different channels of when to send to this audience. So right away to this audience of our best customers, we're sending an email, we're putting them into a social audience, and we're sending them an SMS. So we're orchestrating between 3 different channels to this singular audience. And then we can do smart branching. So we could wait a couple of days for engagement data to come back. And then we could determine a next best action, for example, where if we know they engage with email, they could go down a further email chain. Or if they engage with SMS, they could go down further SMS communication. But if we really didn't get anything back, for example, then Simon, in this campaign builder, you could set an experiment and do a multivariate experiment right in the middle of the campaign within Simon. And our experiments is very flexible. So you can test 2 entirely different streams of communication. Like you see here, email plus social ad, SMS plus social ad. You could test 2 different email templates, template A versus template B, which may have a different color and subject line to it, for example, or discount versus no discount. It's very flexible with what you're able to test within Simon. And when we set an experiment, I'm going to head into a different screen here. We're going to be able to set a couple different things when we set that up. Is a conversion goal, which is what is the goal or action we wanted folks to take to understand the efficacy of this experiment? Was it a purchase, or did we want them to visit the site or create an account? Whatever the goal is, action we want them to take, and then set an attribution window. We have here, for example, a week. It could be a month, 2 months. It could be 1 day. It's very flexible as well. But you get a quick breakdown of this experiment of variant A versus variant B, where we're testing email plus ad and a text plus ad. We're able to see the amount of contacts that got it and a conversion here for this full experiment. And then one last report as we are wrapping up our quick overview here is we're looking at a results report of a email campaign, for example. This is a very basic vanilla example here, people got this email campaign. We wanted them to purchase, for example. The goal is purchases here, but it could be, like I just said, any action we wanted to take: activate an account, visit the website, any specific action. But here's the most common one. We sent out a holiday email, didn't end up in purchases. We have the quick KPIs up here, our completion rate, any specific completions of folks who got that email and reached our ultimate goal. But then able to dive in and understand milestones or steps in the funnel that people took from receiving that email to purchase. So we want to track who got the email, to then who opened, who clicked, to then who visited the site, to then who added something to the cart versus abandoned the cart, then purchased. You're able to track all those steps within the funnel, for example, from the start point to the end point.
Yeah,
And
I think especially with this piece, and I think this is an important note, a lot of marketers have trouble understanding what folks are doing within the funnel. So on the last screen, Paolo would walk through, building out a journey, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a second, but think of that as like prescriptive actions. I am telling someone, here's an email, here's an SMS, here's an ad over a different channel, here's a direct mail piece, here's a personalization on the website. So these are all things that are prescribed by marketers based off of actions. In this specific case, we are listening for what other ancillary actions are happening in that funnel. Are folks favoriting products? Are folks going in store? Are they clicking on certain links? Are they talking to service reps or things along those lines? So the point is, as a marketer, we get to better understand what is happening in the funnel. So you might see that everyone that opens an email and then eventually purchases, 40% of those folks are actually favoriting a product on the website, or they're abandoning a cart, or they're doing some action. So in this case, it allows you to better understand those motions and then react to those. So you might start to build journeys in this funnel based off of motions you didn't know customers were taking. So I think a huge challenge that we see is that marketers are sending things out, they're doing experiments, but they still don't necessarily understand what the optimal journey looks like, or what are all the steps in their optimal journey. So in this case, we're helping provide those specific milestones. And then Paolo, if you just jump back to the journey builder for a second, I just want to talk about one other component here. So we talked a lot, and this is a bit of a complex journey that involves multiple steps and an experiment and multiple channels. A ton of our customers are doing your very basic, build a very specific audience and send them an email, or build them an audience and then send them an email and an ad. So it doesn't have to be, a super complex journey. A lot of folks also start off with an experiment. It might be something along the lines of, let's test free shipping versus a discount code, or let's test a discount code of 5% versus a discount code of 10%. Do we need to give broader or higher discount codes, or is any discount code effective? So point being is, like, as you start to build out your campaigns, they can be super simplistic with very simple experimentation that has super high impact because we understand things a lot faster. I think that is one of the challenges that a ton of our marketers see, is they are testing things out, but they're finding out the results of those tests weeks or months later. Whereas in Simon, the experimentation suite is literally a first-party object in your automation suite. So you're not going to a separate interface to actually launch experiments. I think that's kind of an important note when we think about how we actually build automations. And then on top of that, like Whitney had talked about up front, we're pulling a lot of data from not just your data warehouses, not just your Shopify or e-commerce instances, but real-time data, like folks that are clicking on emails, folks that are clicking on the website, folks that are abandoning carts. So there's generally going to be a wide combination of your batch-based journeys that are more of your monthly or weekly cadence journeys, and also your real-time journeys. Someone abandons a cart, and now we're going to trigger an action in minutes or hours, depending on the latency that you prefer. So wanted to just call that piece out, because as we start to onboard customers, generally speaking, there's a combination of like your audience journeys and also your real-time journeys. And both use cases are things that we tend to really focus on.
Awesome. So in this report, we're going through, right, Matt talked about, right, understanding the funnel and all the different pieces here, but then also understanding a drill down of that goal, be able to get deeper insights on, and of course, they could be sent part of that email as well. What was, for example, the most popular color of the purchase? For this example, right, blue, or most popular product, or most popular brand purchased. Or even dive into different customer buckets, such as folks between 20 and 30 versus folks between 30 and 40, which ones purchase more, for example, right? Going by different or customer buckets of who are champions versus folks likely to churn, right? Did any people likely to churn purchase? You get really creative within this drill down as well.
So, with today's session, we hope you learned a little bit more about Simon Data, our ethos when it comes to customer data and how you're able to better leverage it for your marketing use cases. Paolo here took us through the platform from when you're initially able to see that customer profile, creating segments, creating your journeys, being able to push those out to your end channels and do experimentation across all of them. We would love to provide some time to speak with you individually about the business challenges that you're trying to solve. And yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.